Good morning. I'm Allison, and as he said, I grew up here at Prince of Peace. I was a child in the Sunday school. I attended the Christian school. I actually worked here briefly, like in the missions department. So this is a home. So I'm always very glad to be here with you and just so excited to give an update. So for those of you that were here last October when I was here, we talked about a boxing ring and the hope that we could order a boxing ring on Amazon. So it turns out Prime shipping does have its limits. We were not able to successfully order it, so we did have to get it built and shipped to us in Kenya. But I want you to see, here is one of only 3 official it's one of only 3 official exact professional boxing rings in the country, and the only one of its kind in the western part of the country where we are. So this is just one way that God has opened tremendous doors for us to reach people. You can imagine young boys, young girls growing up in a slum. There's not enough food. There's not stability. Mom and dad may not even be there. And there's just so much anger and energy. And so we just have this growing soccer program and a growing boxing program in which hundreds and hundreds of young people are coming every week to exercise, to grow together, to learn about Jesus, and it's pretty tremendous. And I do want to say this, I forgot to say it at the early service. You never know when you have a dream like what God will do. We have a young lady, and for security reasons, we're not able to show her face, but we have a young Muslim woman who is interested in boxing. And so she comes to our compound in her hijab. We have a side changing room for her. She changes into her clothes. She boxes. The men have been extremely kind, extremely supportive, just incredible to her. And then she changes back into her hijab after and goes home. So you never know when there's a dream and an open door, who will walk through it next. So I want to talk today about a young man named Zeddy. His picture will show. As you can see, he's a boxer. But for him, boxing is actually part of his preparedness because he wants to join an elite wing of Kenya's military. But we met Zeddy many, many years ago when he was a little guy in elementary school. His family was one of the poorest at the time that we'd ever met. They struggled profoundly, and Zeddy was taken into the program. And one day, I'll never forget, the team and I were in the church, we were in our office, and Zeddy comes running in, and he's pleading with us for his sister. See, Zeddy has a little sister named Prince, and she was very sick. And Zeddy's like, you have to help, you have to help, you have to help. Well, as you can imagine, in the middle of a slum area, we face people that are sick all the time. And the requests for help are many. And so we just said, well, Zeddy, go find your mom. Maybe we can do something small, get some medication. And he insisted. And he said, no, you have to, you cannot forget my sister. So my husband, Michael, and I went to the house. And I'm so glad that we listened to this little boy and that he had been so persistent, because she was convulsing, she was foaming at the mouth, she had a ridiculously high fever. And so my husband takes off running to get a motorcycle taxi. I'm carrying her, trying to run after him as fast as possible to get her to the hospital. And when we got her there, they said that her fever was 107, and it was one of the highest fevers they had ever seen. And if it had been just any bit longer, they don't know that she would have survived. So the good news is she did. She's now a high school student, blossoming, growing. Both she and Zeddy have come to know the Lord and have been baptized in my children's blow-up swimming pool. We don't have a baptismal, so we use what we can. They've been baptized. They're walking with Jesus. Like I said, Zeddy has graduated from high school. But there's something important I want to tell you about his younger sister, Prince. She's named that after Prince of Peace, Because many, many years ago, when we planted a little church in the middle of this slum, this congregation and this church was instrumental in helping us. And so for many, many years, the church was called Prince of Peace in honor of this church. And as it turned out, as I said, Zeddy's family is one of the families that has struggled so profoundly. When his mom went into labor, she couldn't afford to get to the hospital. She didn't have any help, and she was walking through Abunga calling for help. And she ended up on the door of our church, and women from our church delivered that baby on the doorstep. And so her name is Prince of Peace. And that little girl, along with about 300 others, are in school today because of people like you. So we want to ask for your help, Prince of Peace. We want you to join us in helping Zeddy and Prince and so many other young people. We keep 300 students actively in the program who need help to go to school, because if you can't pay, you don't go. Indota's had the privilege of educating over 700 students now. We've even started our own school, adding a grade a year. In January, we will add third grade. There's a boxing program, a soccer program, a flourishing church. So we ask you to come and see John Seal and I in the fellowship hall after this. There are many, many ways to get involved, but I want to ask you about two specifically. And these are some big asks, Prince of Peace. These are not the normal asks that I say when I get up here, but I want to ask you for two. One is, last year, during the application process for our student sponsorship, we had 682 people apply. On average, we can take 35 to 40. We would love to be able to help many more students than we're helping. And in fact, right now, we need about 17 students to be sponsored in order to get to where we need to go. So if you have been blessed, if you have some extra money, would you consider sponsoring a student or two? The early service got us started, but we need 17 more students sponsored to be in good shape as we prepare for the new school year in Kenya, which begins in January. And then the second ask I want to ask is this. We don't believe that we just rely on Western churches and coming to America and saying, hey, you help us financially. Of course, we couldn't make it without your financial support. But we are serious in a slum, in a city in Western Kenya about raising money there too and saying, hey, I don't care if it's 50 cents, if it's $1, if it's $2, bring what you have. And so our community there is set out this year to try to raise $3,000, 50 cents at a time. And along with that, we are doing all we can to start businesses so that money is earned. And Richard Ray and his lovely wife, Catherine, who we lost so tragically this year, have been proponents from the very beginning of how can we earn money in country. So we started with a public bus. And so we have a public bus that runs a local service and makes money. And all of the public buses in Kenya, they have a name and a picture on them. And so we would like our next public bus to be the Catherine Ray bus with her name and her picture running around the city of Kisumu, earning money for the organization, but also as a testament to those who believed in us when we were just getting started. So we need some money for that public bus. Again, we've started, but we need some money. So if you are in a position to sponsor a student or to give to that fund, we invite you to do that. It is no small thing to participate in opening doors that have never been opened for people like Zeddy and Prince. It is no small thing that I get to watch as God changes people's lives. Finally, this Saturday, October 19th, we are having our 15-year celebration. We only do these every 5 years, and so it's a big deal, and we have some tickets left. So please come and hear more. This is where we get to flesh out and tell stories like this about each of the different parts of the ministry. So Prince of Peace, as I close today, I would just invite you, please, let's get those 17 kids sponsored, and let's raise the money for the Catherine Ray Memorial Bus. Thank you all so much. May God bless you.